Hello and welcome to Apps for Transport. Today I'm going to take you on a guided tour of the free version of the Load Position Calculator. Now, whether you're an owner-operator or a company with multiple people quoting on scheduled works, the Load Position Calculator gives you an easy-to-use structure that provides you and your customers with a consistent, competitive, legal load pricing and permit application regime. So let's take a look. So from the home page for the Load Position Calculator, select the blue Try Now button. And this is going to take us through to the load calculation page, a free version. So just before we get started, I'd like to draw your attention to the tabs at the top of the page. First, we have Calcs. This is the page that we're on, so the page for calculating the load. Next, we have Saved Calculations, which is exactly as the name suggests. This is where you would save the calculations for other loads. Then we have tabs for trucks, trailers, and dollies. On these tabs is where you would enter your own configurations, tare weights, and measurements. So in the free version, it's important to remember that the app doesn't save the information once you've actually left the website. It's lost. So the first step is to enter our load. Just to the left of the new calculation button, we push select, and that's where we're going to type in our load. And today we're carrying a CAT 988H front end loader weighing 52,000 kg. So I'll just type that in, CAT 988H. And we're good to continue on to the form. I'll just zoom in a little closer so that you get a better look. So the first part of our configuration is to choose our measurement system. As you can see, the dimensions and weights are measured in either metric or imperial. Selection is simple. What's really important is that you are accurate and consistent. So you need to use the same measurement system that you're using for your truck, dolly and trailer. Now in our case, our test truck, dolly and trailer tare weights and measurements are all in metric, so I'm going to select metric. Next, as I move my cursor over any part of the form that needs to be filled in, you'll notice that a grey box pops up. This gives you a simple description of the function and sometimes an example to help you. And you can also find more instructions, detailed instructions, I should say, in the instructions tab. So to our truck list, we have a drop-down list here at this arrow. So I select that. I only have one truck in my list. In the full version, you can actually save each of your vehicles, but for our example, I'm going to select test truck. And I'll do the same for the dolly and the same for the trailer. Now this information is being drawn through from the measurements and weights that have been entered for each of these items in the trucks, trailers and dolly tabs. Now you'll also notice that the picture has changed and it has all of those measurements of the different components of our configuration. So today we're using a 2x8 dolly and a 4x8 swing wing widening trailer. The next step is to enter the maximum mass weight for each axle group. So I'll just scroll down to that part of the form and I'll click on our first heading, which is steer. And so this is where we're going to be entering the maximum weight that for our steer axle group, and in our case it's going to be 6,000 kg, so I'll just type in 6,000 kg. Oh, and straight away there's a red warning. Now that's because I used a comma and letters. We need to enter numerals only, so I'll just delete the letters and the comma and make sure it's 6,000. And now we're good to go. So this time I'm going to move the cursor by pressing the tab key, and it comes down to drive. So under the drive heading, we're entering the maximum weight that we wish to carry on our drive axle group. And in our case, it's 16,500 kg, 16,500. and tab to the next one, which is the dolly. Again, it's the weight, maximum weight that we're carrying on the dolly axle group, which in this case is 24,000 kg, so it's 24000. Tab down, finally we have our trailer. Same deal, maximum weight to be carried on the trailer axle group, and in our case it's 42,000 kg, 42000. Now all of these weights together give us the gross combination mass, and the GCM for this particular truck, dolly and trailer combination you can read here at the bottom of the form as 88,500 kg. So now we're ready to enter the load information. Press the tab, which will take us up, and adjust the screen. Zoom in a little. So this is where we're going to enter the details of what we're carrying. To get the most accurate estimate of size, weight, and the characteristics of our load, the best results are going to come from using the manufacturer's specifications. If you're carrying earth moving equipment or machinery, then there are several websites you can use, such as Specolog or Ritchie Specs. It's also important to remember that you need to make allowances for any extras that have been added to the machine since manufacture. So this could include fire suppression systems, handrails, walkways, access ladders, steps, or added additional wear plates on buckets, blades, trays, etc. So we're ready now to enter our weight, and so for us it's the weight of the Cat 988H front end loader plus the extra weight of a fire suppression system, auto grease system, access steps and handrails. So this is going to bring our total weight to 52,000 kg. 52,000 kg. Now notice to the right here, maximum allowable. So this figure gives you the maximum load allowable, as the name suggests, but it actually varies depending on the combination of truck, dolly and trailer that you're using. Straight away you can see whether or not you are within legal limits. We are, so let's move on. So the length is the total length of the load. So you might say the distance from the nose to the tail. Our front end loader is 12.85 metres, 12.85. Now you may have noticed that there are some red warnings that have popped up on the right hand section of the screen. No need to worry about that for a moment, we'll get there shortly. So next is the height. Now the height is the height of the load plus the height of the trailer. So the Cat 988H front end loader is 4.2 metres and the trailer is 1 metre, therefore the total height is 5.2 metres. 5.2. And now we have the length between the lifting points, or the length measured between the centre of the wheels on the machine. So I've actually used the distance between the centre of the front and rear axles, which on our front end loader is 4.55 metres. So the data we've just entered has established the load's centre of gravity, and it's shown in this next section. I'll just page down. So it's shown in this section here. Now, as you can see, the weight is represented as a percentage of the load's weight distribution and as a specific weight. The default position is an equal split between the front of the load's lift point and its rear lift point. Now, as you know, the weight is not necessarily spread evenly across the machine, but the adjustment is really simple. So for our Cat 988H, we know from our specs that if we load it onto the trailer facing forwards, that its front lifting point is 27,000 kg. So in the front point section here, with the kgs, I can just make that really simple adjustment. So I'll delete the 6 and make it 27,000 kg. As you can see, entering a figure in any one of the 4 optional category boxes automatically adjusts the others. So the app has now also recalculated the distance from the front of the load lifting point to the centre of gravity of the load, and that's shown down here. So our distance from the front of the front load lifting point, or the centre of the tyres of the machine, to the centre of gravity of the load is 6,168 millimetres. And the distance of the rear of the load lifting point, or the centre of the tyres of the machine, to the centre of gravity of the load is now 6,682 millimetres. Now, if, as in our example, you have the weight for either end of the load, the centre of gravity can be calculated for you. Or, if you already have the centre of gravity, you can measure from the centre of the gravity point to each end to get the correct percentage weight of the weight distribution. Right, almost there. Our final section is the trailer positioning. Now, what if you're not actually using a dolly? Let's have a look to see what happens. I'm going to go back to my configuration, unselect my dolly, so I've got no dolly. And as you can see over here, the form has adjusted itself. Now in our example, we are using a dolly, so I'll just reinstate it. Test dolly, and we're good to continue. So our dolly pin position from my drop-down list. Our dolly pin position today is going to be position 1. Next, we have dolly turntable position. And today we're going to be in position 6. My trailer spread width is going to be 3,700 millimetres. And our trailer pin position, we're going to select front. Now for the part where the load position calculator really makes your life easier, and that is finding out the correct position for your load for this particular configuration. So for this section, just let me zoom out and reposition the page so you can see more of it. So the box on our trailer which represents the load is now red. Now that obviously means that it's out of the limits for this configuration. And if you also have a look at the section called weight on axle groups, it's telling us that the problem lies on the trailer axle group, which is too heavy. So how do I find out exactly where my CAT 988H front end loader should be placed? Well, I've got several options. So the first is to click on the yellow Auto Calc load and trailer positioning, and let's do that and see what happens. So we have 4 green ticks on the weight axle groups, no red warnings in the overhanging section, and our load has changed position and is good to go green. This means that the axle weights will actually be within the allowable limits of 2% over that selected weight. Another option is to hold down the left mouse button and drag the load forward and back until the load changes to green, indicating that you've got the right weights and the load in the right position. So watch what happens when I move the load. So I select the load like so, and now when I move it, you can see that it goes red as soon as it's in the wrong position. And you can read to the right hand side, the weight axle group, exactly where it's wrong. So it's telling me that it's too heavy on the trailer axles again. So let me get it back in the right position. Here we go. Now watch the load placement figures as I just adjust the load a little bit. So watching those figures down the bottom under load placement. So you can see the figures changing as I just adjust a little bit the placement of my load. So this means that you can manually adjust exactly where you want your load to be in order to get the optimal weights on any given group, even after you've used the AutoCalc. This also works the other way around, and by that I mean we can go down to our load placement section and you can enter the distance of the centre of gravity of the load forward of the centre of the trailer axle group, like this. So we'll just change that 6 millimetres to 8 millimetres. And so you can see it's made the adjustment of our load. So this is just another way that you can either move the load forwards or backwards just to optimize the weights on the particular axles. Now this leaves only one more section to play with, and that's the configuration in the trailer section. Watch what happens when I change my dolly position from position 1 to position 2. Like so. Okay, our red warning has come up and it's telling us that the load on the drive axles is too heavy. So let's see what happens if I just click on the Auto Calc button again. There we go. The app has calculated a new position for our load and we're green and it's good to go. So this principle applies to all the sections under this heading of trailer positioning, and you can explore these on your own. However, before we move on, I just want to show you one more thing that this tool can actually do. So let me reset our configuration back to dolly position 1, like so. And then I'm going to change my dolly turntable position from 6 to 2, like so. Again, we've got a warning. So now I'm going to go and click on our Auto Calc bar and see what happens, just like before. And there you have it. The load position calculator has presented us with a solution to our problem. So it tells us that we need to change what we need to change in our current configuration in order to get the safe legal position for our CAT 988H front end loader. If I click apply, we've applied those conditions. The work has all been done for us. We are green. We are good to go. So that brings us to the end of our tour of the free version of the load position calculator. It's a lot faster and easier to use than it is to explain. I mean, honestly, when I first tried filling out this form, it took me, 1.5 minutes to actually complete this form. So then I actually entered the different tabs and it took me 1 minute to put in my own truck, 3 minutes for the trailer, and about 2 minutes to enter the dolly information. I found it really easy with the pop-up boxes to remind me of what information was needed and the detailed instructions that I had to refer to under the instructions tab if I got stuck. You do need to remember though that in the free version, once you actually leave the website, the information is lost. And this is just one more good idea as to why to get the paid version. So don't forget that the full version, the paid version of the load position calculator actually gives you a number of extra features. So not only can you access the saved load information and vehicle configuration, you can also print or email an electronic copy to the driver. So with this app, you can demonstrate to the compliance officer that all practicable steps have been taken to comply with the law. But of course, beyond legal compliance, this app is just one more tool in your kit that helps you protect your two greatest assets, your gear and your people. Remember, green is good to go and it's good to bring you home. So if you'd like more information about the load position calculator or the trip rate calculator, just drop us an email at admin@appsfortransport.com.au.